The flashing red and blue lights painted the night. A black man in a tailored suit stood calmly beside his car, hands raised. The officer shouted, "Keep your hands where I can see 'em." The man tried to speak. "Officer, I think you're making a mistake." Before he could finish, he was slammed onto the hood. Cold steel cuffs bit into his wrists. He wasn't a criminal. He was Judge Malcolm Hayes, one of the youngest and most respected judges in the state. And tonight, justice was about to face its most ironic test. Judge Malcolm Hayes was a man who believed deeply in fairness. Every verdict he gave was measured, every word deliberate. He'd grown up in the South, raised by a mother who cleaned houses and a father who was a bus driver. They taught him one thing: "Son, the law isn't perfect, but if you live with integrity, you can make it better." Malcolm took that lesson to heart. He studied, sacrificed, and fought his way into Harvard Law. The first in his family to ever step into a courtroom, not as a defendant, but as a man of justice. Now at 43, he wore that black robe with pride. He had power, respect, and a deep belief that the system could change if people like him kept fighting. But on this night, all that meant nothing. The arresting officer's name was Sergeant Cole Danner, a veteran cop known for his no-nonsense attitude. What people didn't say out loud was that Danner also had a reputation for racial profiling, something the department always swept under the rug. When Danner saw Malcolm's car, a black Mercedes, tinted windows, he claimed it matched the description of a stolen vehicle. But what he saw, deep down, was a black man behind the wheel of success. As Malcolm lay cuffed on the hood, he kept his voice calm. "Officer, my ID is in my inside pocket. I'm Judge Malcolm Hayes. Please, check it." Danner scoffed. "Yeah, and I'm the president."
Hours later, after confirming his identity, they quietly released him. No apology, no press, just silence and shame. The next morning, Danner's phone rang. "Sergeant Cole Danner," he answered, half asleep. A calm but familiar voice replied, "Sergeant Danner, this is Judge Hayes. You'll be presiding in my courtroom today." The color drained from Danner's face. That afternoon, he walked into the courtroom, nervous, sweating under his uniform. The man he'd humiliated now sat above him, gavel in hand. But instead of anger, Judge Hayes spoke with grace. "Sergeant Danner," he said softly, "do you know why we're here?" Danner swallowed hard. "Yes, Your Honor, I made a mistake." "No," the judge said. "You made a choice." The courtroom fell silent. Malcolm could have destroyed him, filed charges, ended his career. But instead he did something unexpected. He called for a public hearing on bias and accountability within the police department. He didn't want revenge. He wanted change. During that hearing, officers of color stood up and shared their own stories. Some had been harassed in their own neighborhoods. Others were silenced when they spoke out. Malcolm listened to them all. Then he looked at Danner and said, "Racism doesn't always wear a hood, Sergeant. Sometimes it wears a badge, but the same law that protects you protects me too." The story made headlines. Judge publicly challenges police racism. Half the city supported him. The other half called him anti-cop. But Malcolm didn't care. He'd started something bigger than himself, a movement for transparency and equality inside the justice system. Sergeant Danner was suspended pending investigation. During those long months, he faced something he'd never felt before, being judged by the system he thought he controlled.
One afternoon, he showed up at the courthouse in plain clothes. He waited until everyone left, then approached the judge's chambers. Malcolm looked up as Danner entered. "Judge Hayes," Danner said quietly, "I came to say I'm sorry." Malcolm studied him for a moment. "Are you sorry you did it? Or sorry you got caught?" Danner's voice broke. "I'm sorry I let hate blind me. You didn't deserve that. No one does." Malcolm nodded slowly. "The first step to justice is truth. I can't erase what happened, but maybe you can start changing what comes next." For the first time, Danner extended his hand, not as an officer, but as a man. Malcolm shook it. If this story moved you, take a moment to think about how quick we are to judge someone based on what we see and not who they truly are. Because sometimes, the person we disrespect today might be the one holding the power to change our life tomorrow. Tell me in the comments, what lesson did you take from this story? And if you believe justice still matters in this world, hit that like button, share this story, and make sure you're subscribed for more powerful lessons like this one.